Welcome to Crafting with Carrie. How am I going to make this big pile of papers into this beautiful blue junk journal? I had made a bunch of paper packs about a year ago. So the first thing that I had to do was to decide which papers will be good for making the signatures of the book. In each of the paper packs that I made sure that I had enough large papers in there to make at least 4 signatures. So the first thing that I do is remind myself what's in here because I really do not recall at all. Like most people, I have a lot of dyed papers in there with coffee or avocados or tea, all those sorts of things. I have some really nice 1800s and 1900s pages and some art pages that add a lot of texture, and you get some of those really nice soft older pages. I try to keep some books to keep the whole pages full. So if there were pages that I was able to take the staples or the strings out to keep the pages full, I also tried to do that to keep some nice big pages for the signatures. As I'm looking through these pages, I'm already getting some inspiration for what this journal is going to become. I really had no idea when I started this journal what it was going to do. The challenge I had given myself was that I was just going to grab one of my paper packs and create a journal out of it. Normally when I create a journal, I'm making it for somebody else and I have a theme for them, like if they like horses or writing, or if they, whatever their interest is, I usually create a theme around that. So this is me being a little wild and crazy and not having a theme for the journal right off the hop. The challenge is more to use the papers that are in this paper pack and not go outside of this paper pack for most of the papers. It's always fun to add a little bit of a few elements. I liked to add the doily and the coffee stained paper and some other little extra things of paper, like paper sizes that aren't that 8.5 and 11 by 11 folded in half into some of the signatures as I went along, just to add some fun. Decided the book cover that I wanted to use was going to be this blue one. It had a fairly wide spine already, and I just wanted to cover up that gold foil writing there, and just making sure I have enough space for the signatures. And then I had found this beautiful 1950s handkerchief that I wanted to save for something special, and it just matched this book cover perfectly. So it is pretty much the focus of this journal. Time to transform this old spine into something new and improved. Do you feel as excited as I do when you transform these old book covers and books into these beautiful journals? I'm reading a book by It is by Diane Setterfield, called The 13th Tale. And at the beginning of the book, the main character, is a bookkeeper, and she prefers to read old books. And she says, "After all, reading is looking after, in a manner of speaking, not old enough to be valued for their age alone, nor important enough to be sought after by collectors. My charges are dear to me, even if, as often as not, they are dull on the inside as on the outside. No matter how banal the contents, there is always something that touches me. For someone now dead once thought these words significant enough to write them down." And I really feel like that is true for the books that we work with and the pieces of art and ephemera, because somebody once put a lot of work into the art and the words and the poems and the music, and then we might walk into a secondhand store or somebody's garage sale, and oftentimes these things are sitting in a pile that have been ignored for a very long time, and our multimedia friends and creators can pull all these things together and create something new and wonderful and beautiful with them. Did you notice there that I ended up choosing a piece of fabric that was a little more opaque? I just wanted to cover up that piece of paper just a little bit more so that the paper wouldn't show through quite as much on that napkin, on that handkerchief. I saw somebody else do this where they diluted the clear silicone glue with alcohol and essentially drenched a piece of fabric, kind of Mod Podged the fabric onto a book, and it worked all right, but I can't say that I would want to do it this way again. When I pull the book page off, you'll notice that it looks clear, but when it dries, it goes white again. When we see new techniques and they look interesting, the only way we find out if they work for us is if we try them. So it did work all right, but I did find that it was a little bit messy. So now I'm just figuring out how exactly the signatures are going to fit in and putting them in the orders that I want, making any extra special folds that I would like to add and make sure they're centered. All those fun things. I do like to make sure that I have a nice piece of art of some sort in the center of each signature as well. couple of the pages are taller than the book, and I want the center of the book, like the center of the page, to be in the book. So I might be trimming a little bit from the top and the bottom. And this book, the page was a little bit weak, so I just glued on a little bit of washi tape to make sure that it had a little more strength in the book. So for the next little bit here, I'm just going back and forth and making sure that the height of the pages is correct and checking with my book that everything's fitting correctly, and I'm measuring here because I have some pages that are taller, and I just want to make sure. It's always best to measure 3 times and cut once. I know we've all cut something many times that ends up being incorrect or upside down or the wrong size. So luckily this is something that it's not the end of the world, but I always like it to turn out just right. Despite me double checking this and talking of things, making things just right, I still ended up in the end putting in one of the signatures upside down. You'll see that later on. Here I'm making a hidden spine. I do prefer to have hidden spines than punching all the way through the journal to the back. I recently got a punch board to help with making the holes in the signatures. I don't think that will take away needing to make the template for the spine punch, like where to punch the holes in the spine though. I am eager to give that a try and see how it works. I do find it easier just to fold up the paper and copy the dots that I made to make sure that they're all equal with each other. And I do prefer to use the low-tack tape to adhere it on there to make sure that it doesn't move while I'm punching with my punch with the small hole. I do love this tool. It has made it a lot easier than just using an awl. I do still use the awl. You'll notice the awl that I use for punching through the signatures. However, to punch through the chipboard in the spine, that tool is wonderful. This is waxed string, which is also something that I do like to use when I have it. It just really holds the signatures in place nicely. The image that I have for the center of this signature here is by Picasso. I learned a lot about him as I was going through the art book that I got, and I was quite surprised about his history, and I found that I actually did like a lot of his earlier works that he had done, and learned a lot about things that happened to him. I was quite surprised that he had become an artist at quite a young age, that his father was an art instructor and quit being an art instructor because he felt that Picasso had surpassed him by the time he was, I think, 13 years old. So I thought that that was a very interesting fact. Now this is the signature that I put in upside down, and you can see on the sides that the letters are, or the sentences are upside down, but I think because the image doesn't really have a top and a bottom, and I was focusing on getting this finished, that I just didn't catch it. So I think this is a good lesson in making sure that we have a paper clip or something in there to make sure that we always have it designated as a top and a bottom. And here I had to pull up some of the hanky just to get the hidden spine inside there. And more gluing and more gluing and more gluing. And then this is my second big blunder. I plopped it right into a glue pile. Oh, I was so frustrated. So there you have it. The blue 1950s junk journal is created, and I've got all 4 signatures in there, and it is ready to be decorated. Thanks for joining me. Next, how to decorate this lovely thing. I hope you enjoy this, and please come back to see how we're going to complete it. Happy crafting!